So with the beta of Overwatch ending, we are all, well, hyped for the game, right? At least many people are. But is the game so good as people claim it is? Well, let's discuss it. In my opinion, first and foremost, Overwatch plays quite well. Yes, it does. But again, there are many problems that I have to address, sadly, which, in my opinion, are criticized in many shooters, which I don't see reflected in Overwatch, which is quite weird, if you ask me, since, well, critics and everybody else, actually, is way more active about bad video games or bad things that are lacking from a game. And I think Overwatch gets a free pass. So, with that said, let's focus on the bad stuff here. Because the good stuff you can find everywhere, right? I have made 8 points, which, well, are a bit bad about Overwatch. Nothing that is so dramatically that, well, we shouldn't play the game, but in my opinion that are often addressed in other games, but not in this one. So let's start with the first one, which is ammunition. So Overwatch runs on a system that allows you to have unlimited ammunition in the game, which first of all is quite a casual mechanic and disliked by many people, especially people who play more than one shooter at a time or play a vast variety of IPs when it comes to shooters. Especially people who like to play games like Battlefield and Call of Duty are wishing for ammunition to be in the game and to have quite ammunition management. I want to refer to a game here which came out at the end of last year, being Star Wars Battlefront, which has also no ammunition at all, but people shed all over the game because, well, ammunition is not in the game and it takes out some kind of depth and it's way too easy to pray and spray. Which leads me to my second point, actually. Weapons do not have any kind of kickback or something like that. You don't feel anything like recoil or something like that when you shoot with a gun. You can just go in there and pray and spray, and the only thing you lose is a bit of accuracy. But since the game runs on such small maps and on such close quarter combat, the game just feels like a pray and spray fest, which I hope the pro gamers will, well, kind of lift out, so that people take example of those guys and probably learn how to shoot really. Not that it would bother me too much, but I have the feeling that I played, when I look at my footage at least, that I have sprayed way more than in any other shooter. Sometimes even more than in Battlefront, because in Battlefront the accuracy penalties are way higher on some weapons than in Overwatch. Then we come to the next point, while we're talking about pro gamers. Pro gamers will have a really hard time in Overwatch, in my opinion, because Overwatch has the same syndrome that Heroes of the Storm has, and that games like Battlefield have. The thing about Overwatch is that it is, at the moment, as far as I can tell, is not a tournament-friendly game, because the most played tournament shooters have modes that are dependent on each side having equal opportunities. What I mean by that is, in Counter-Strike, you have the rounds set up in a way that you have to play both sides at least, well, a few times. Terrorists as well as counter-terrorists. In Call of Duty, the same goes with Search and Destroy, being the mode that is played, which allows you to attack and defend. But what spices things up is not the attacking, defending proposition of the game. No, what spices things up is the ability to not respawn. So your skill comes way more into play than the actual game mechanics, which consist of respawning and stuff like that. So it is your life is more valuable, and each person on the field is more valuable, which is way more important on a game which has a small amount of people in each round, like Overwatch does. And as far as I can tell, Overwatch does not have like a tournament mode or something like that. So that is lacking entirely. And what is special about the scene, the pro scene, is that they are not famous for choosing game modes that you have to figure out what to play. Like, they are not the people who they're not the people who choose the game modes themselves. They want to have like that one game mode that everybody plays, or most people play very hardcore and stay on that one. In Overwatch you have, at least at the moment, just those 3 game modes that are played, but they are not played in a matter that you can say, yeah, that's how pros would play that. The same thing is accounted to Team Fortress. Team Fortress has an esports league, but have you ever heard something of those players? Because I cannot imagine one. I cannot imagine a single person who plays League of Legends, not League of Legends, Team Fortress 2 professionally, and saying, yeah, that is like the professional mode. And the same goes for Battlefield. Battlefield has an esports scene, but I do not know any rules about the game, because the only shooters that are relevant in esports are at the moment Call of Duty and Counter-Strike, and Call of Duty even way less than Counter-Strike. So go figure that out. The next thing is, according to my list here, is that there are way too little game modes in the game, actually. Because I think we have like 3 game modes. We have like Payload, we have Capture Point, and we have King of the Hill. And of course a mix of all those 3, which is very basic, and I think with such a budget that probably Overwatch had, especially since it was Titan at the beginning, there should be more funding and way more game modes, because for AAA release that's kind of disappointing, I'm sorry. 3 game modes? I mean, a Call of Duty or Battlefield, which are actually quite well made. Well, they have quite more time on their backs, of course, but Overwatch is like the firstborn child of its franchise, right? And even with Team Fortress 2 had at the beginning more game modes than that. I mean, where's the Capture the Flag, where's game modes like, I don't know, there's so many you could choose from. And even if it is like defuse the bomb or something like that, which is quite weird, really. And I'm asking myself, can't you make it like a bit more like the other ones, which is like Battlefront. Even Battlefront has more game modes than Overwatch, which is, and Battlefront was like the shitfest of the last year, which makes me very angry, because Battlefront was shit in many aspects, but Overwatch lacks those game modes, and I think it's just sometimes the hype that made Overwatch the great that it is. But let's not jump between topics. I wish to see more game modes, otherwise the game gets boring very, very quickly. Then we have the next problem. I mean, we get 12 maps. That seems much. But 12 maps in ant size? I mean, this, don't get me wrong. 12 maps nowadays is okay for a shooter to have, but 12 maps which are tiny. We're not even talking about big maps here. We're talking about tiny COD-like maps. Maybe in some aspects smaller. Depending on how you see it. Because they seem smaller because, well, first of all, the parts of the map are very, very small. Most of them are of 3 small parts. And those parts, actually, which are quite open, are very fast passable due to every hero having, well, that little boostability, at least most of them have, that increases movement speed. And therefore the maps seem even smaller. And I know those maps are crafted with much detail in mind, but seriously, 12 is a bit too small. Especially since Battlefield 4 had, I think, 12 maps at the beginning, and everybody shat on Battlefield 4, as far as I remember, because of the number of maps. Like, it were two less maps, and we need more maps at the start of a game. 16, 15 were okay, but 12 are not okay. And I think that is like that Overwatch bias, which I get to at the end of that. And I don't think that, well, the number of maps is enough. I'm sorry, for such a small amount of maps, I cannot see anything that, like, excuses 12 maps. Even if it has detail, I think 12 is way too small. And, well, for the next thing is, because that builds up on the maps, the 7th point is, Overwatch has not much diverse gameplay. Rounds feel all the time very, very samey. So, if you look at it very, very honestly, I mean very, very honestly, how different does each round play? The thing is that the choices of heroes should be the factor that make rounds more unique, but does it? And in my opinion, it does not. It does not deliver. I'm sorry. If I play around and I played, like, let me say 20 to 30 over the weekend, which is actually enough to say, yeah, you can make a judgment on that. If 20 to 30 of those rounds do not feel unique at all, and we're talking about, like, I pick my champ at the beginning, stuff happens, I go... It feels like a Team Fortress vibe on normal servers, which is very, very weird, because you start your round, you know where your defensive heroes will build up, you know where your offensive heroes will go along. You hope that on your if you play, for example, a Reinhardt, that certain ways are not defended because they are in 90% of the case not. It feels the same, and the hero choice of your enemy team and of yourself do not make the game so diverse that I think the game is unique each round, like some people claim it to be. The problem we get is you have those heroes, you have such a big amount of heroes that very much or most of them feel samey due to different things. The one thing is that they feel very indifferent to each other because of the skills. For example, 90% of the heroes have a movement skill that complements their playstyle on the shift key. That is most of the time speed ability that gives either you, your team, or anybody else a small benefit. For Pharah, it was like a high jump. For Soldier, 76 was the number, I think. It was like a sprint in a normal shooter and stuff like that, which is, of course, very, very cool, but everyone has that, and your weapons are also very, very samey. You're always doing the same shit with your weapons. You have no unique kind of weapons at your disposal, which very much annoys me. Like, you could have taken so much inspiration from many other games, and the weapons, I mean, if you shoot with a weapon, it's just a disguised assault rifle or a disguised military rifle in general. For example, I don't know the dude, the DJ dude, people will remember him if they've played him. He has like a sound wave cannon, but in theory it's just like a triple shotgun, like a 3-shot rifle with an added knockback as a ability, as a secondary fire, which makes the entire thing, well, it makes it semi-unique, but it makes it not as unique as it should be. There's no characters who just have crazy ass weapons, like Borderlands style crazy, and I think they missed out on a huge opportunity, especially since they ride the long and annoying train of making your character so crazily unique that characters like Tracer get really annoying. I mean, character-wise, not gameplay-wise. And the last thing is, the game lacks severe depth in general. I don't know how to put it, but you cannot do anything with your characters. There's no customization in the game in terms of your character alone, like what the character can do, which is mind-boggling to me, because you have like a skill set for your characters, but you don't even get the idea to implement something like the Smash Brothers system, where you can just choose 1 or 4 skills for each slot, which is the same ability but different. Why not have like a Pharah jump attack, like the shift ability I was talking about, the high jump, which does not end up in a high jump but in a sprint forward, or in a disengage, or in a dive bomb. Like, you can activate the ability twice and then you dive bomb, but you only jump half as high as you would normally do. Why not implement shit like that? I mean, you really missed out on an opportunity. I'm sorry. And the depth of the entire game relies on your team setup. And having a game that relies on team setup is very stupid. I'm sorry. I mean, you don't have to handle anything except how your team is set up. And the game tells you how to set up your team, ideally. And yes, counterpicking and shit like that is important. But really, do counterpicks matter that much at the moment? Where every hero, every offensive hero is able to kill everybody easily. We're not talking about like, it's hard to do it. No. It's easily doable. It's easy to get into an entire team of tanks, or in a half team of tanks, with a soldier, and mow down everybody, as well as doing the same shit with a Pharah by just high jumping and just being good, a good Quake player. That's like, yeah, that's no. And hero mastery is even the same bullshit. I'm sorry, like, mastering your hero does not make you like a unique player to your team, because mastering your hero in most instances ends up in like, yeah, I do the same shit that everybody can do with the skills. It's the same as like being a good League of Legends player with one hero. And the mastery lies, in League of Legends, even counterpicking and banning and stuff like that. But it's also, League of Legends has more reliance on other stuff, like MOBAs in general, or team shooters like Team Fortress have reliance on other stuff than fucking Overwatch. Like, playing a good spy is something way different than playing, like, in Overwatch, a good support character. Playing an engineer in Team Fortress 2 is 20 times more different than playing a Torbjorn in Overwatch. A Torbjorn in Overwatch is like, I set up a turret and repair that and assist it as good as I can and throw a few ammo packs. In Team Fortress, it's really important to analyze the choke points of the map, where at the moment the choke points are, setting up your sentries, setting up a dispenser, watch out for your counter class, which is the spy, and watch out for snipers, especially, and have enough control over the game that you know, okay, this area is really locked down. With a Torbjorn, you don't have that, and that is the depth that is missing. You lack so much of in-game depth of just managing your game, because what it is like a war of attrition and having the right heroes for that war of attrition. That is Overwatch right now. Because if I may say so, winning a match on payload with the Bastion on the payload itself, a Reinhardt sitting in front of it, putting out his shield, and a Mercy to save their ass is a not skillful play. It just is not. It just is boring and flat and stupid. And I've won rounds multiple times like that. I've lost rounds multiple times like that. And I do not understand how people can defend that. And this is like my last ranty point. So, I mean, I know this one will not be like a video that many people like, because I diss Overwatch. But what Overwatch is at the moment is a pure community fest. Overwatch was, from the very beginning, very much overhyped. So that is like a very good name proposition. It was very much overhyped, and many people are defending the game senseless because they say, yeah, it's like the perfect game, which is absolutely not true. I mean, I'm sorry to say that Overwatch is like that godsend of a child of whatever. It's not. It is simply not. And if you disagree with every of my points, I ask you, what the fuck? I mean, I have good points, I have weaker points, I admit that. But saying that every point of me is that I make is false or flat out bad is just like bullshit. I'm sorry. And defending that game senseless is something that people do for whatever reason, and most of those people are the ones who are very active in the community and make fan art and, well, we saw the articles of Pornhub and stuff like that, where people watch for Overwatch porn now. So give it to me, Tracer, you annoying piece of shit with your high squeaky voice. Like, what the fuck? I mean, and then we have bullshit like those people who overhype the game because they couldn't play it. Like, I want to play this game so badly, and then they play it and they say, oh, it's so awesome, which is bullshit. I'm sorry, this game is not worth full price in my opinion. And I won't buy it on release, I know that for sure, because it's the same shit as Battlefront. It's like mowed down shooter mechanics, and this game will probably only live because of, well, the fanboys at the moment, and will not live on because it is a good game in the end. It's like with what Team Fortress 2 is at the moment now, or before the item stat revamp. it is just a shitfest of fans who are sitting on a server all day and talking to each other. Just that Overwatch is lobby-based and people are, playing rounds because they're forced to, because no custom servers and stuff like that. So what I think about Overwatch is that at the moment Overwatch is not a good game. It's, well, it is a good game. It plays good, as I said at the beginning, but it is not the game that is like Game of the Year worthy or anything close to that. And many people, and I dare you, by the way, I challenge you to find good counter arguments to what I said, to those 8 points I brought up, because I posted it on Reddit and stuff like that, and people only say bullshit, and I quote, that it's only the beta, or that they don't see a problem with lacking depth and long-time survivability of a game, as long as they can play it shortly and have a short burst of fun. That most of the people say I'm trolling, which is also weird, because if you have seen any of my videos, I have a very strong opinion about game depth, and that every game should have depth, and there's no excuse to have no depth at all. You can make it accessible for anybody and still have tons of depth in your game. And yeah, Overwatch is, in my opinion, lacking that. So I would say, agree or not, everyone can go fuck himself. Just kidding. So see you on the next one. Goodbye. Ciao. Auf Wiedersehen.